Hi everyone, old guy here. And the first Dennis Lehane novel I read was The Given Day. And man, loved it, thought it was great. And he quickly became a go to author. I expecting, of course, that every time I picked up another novel of his, that it would be just as good. Well, then I read Moonlight Mile and meh. So, I had mixed expectations when I ran across these two novels, and after reading them, was not disappointed. At the mixed results, I mean. The first novel, Darkness Take My Hand, was published in 1996, is the second Gennaro and Kenzie detective series novel. I thought it was the first one when I picked it up because I conflated its title with A Drink Before the War, which is the real first novel of the series. And, well, this happens at this age. There is a school of thought that each book in a series should stand alone. The other school being that, no, you get into a series, you start at the beginning. If you want to see a good discussion on this, Benjamin Ryan over on X, Twitter, whatever you prefer, recently visited this topic. My view, if it's just the same character in different situations, then it can stand alone. Maybe with a reference or two to some previous situations, like in the Bob Lee Swagger novels. But if it's a continuing series, then it's up to the reader to catch up. Lord of the Rings. And that's the case here because the first half of the book really depends on what happened in the previous book, Drink Before the War. And since I didn't read the first one, I was fairly lost. But I don't blame the writing for that. So much apparently happened in the first novel that a reference or two just isn't going to cut it. I'm just going to have to read it. Oh no. Whatever happened, it really informs the novel, and you can discern that it has been quite the trauma that has now transformed the Gennaro-Kenzie relationship to one where, after a little bit, you're going, come on, would you just sleep with each other? And there is an episode and a scene where, well, I'll leave that to your reading. But be prepared for meaningful looks and inferences that relate to the first novel. If you read it, then you're good to go. If not, just bear with it. What is this book about? Well, Gennaro and Kenzie are hired to protect the son of a prominent psychiatrist, and before you know it, we're dealing with the most diabolical, brilliant, 10 steps ahead serial killer since Hannibal Lecter. You know the type, so effing genius that it's like they can read minds and tap phones and have satellite surveillance on everyone because they know exactly what everyone is thinking and where exactly they are and what they're doing and how to strike without anyone noticing a thing. Spare me. Fortunately, this story isn't like that. The serial killers are normal, and oops, I said killers. That doesn't mean the killer isn't batshite nuts. They are, and the murders are gruesome and evil, and your hair will be raised on occasion. But overall, meh. The next novel, Live by Night, published in 2012, is the sequel to The Given Day, and of a whole different tone and quality than Darkness. It's very much that straight up style that made the first book, The Given Day, such a pleasure to read. And I thoroughly enjoyed this one. Set during Prohibition, this is Joe Coughlin sometime after he had left the Coughlin family to strike out in a totally different direction from his family of father and brothers who are all policemen. He becomes a street hood who works with a gang that runs liquor and strong arms local poker games. Unfortunately, Joe and his pals hit a game owned by one of the biggest Boston crime bosses, Albert White, which I'm wondering if it's kind of an oblique reference to Whitey Bulger. During the robbery, sparks fly between Joe and Emma Gould, who is Albert's squeeze, and you know that isn't going to turn out very well. It's striking that Joe's father, Thomas Coughlin, who is the chief of police, knows full well what his son is doing. They run into each other in a restaurant, and Thomas remonstrates with him about what his lifestyle, and Joe happens to have Emma with him, and Thomas insults her, and that's not going to turn out very well either. Lots of stuff doesn't turn out very well, even when it seems to. So we have 6 years between these two novels, and I gotta say, Lehane has become quite polished in the interim, at least with the Coughlin family saga. Moonlight still kind of felt more like darkness, except for the much snappier banter. And I'm wondering if Lehane is maintaining two completely different styles for each series, which is excellent. Old guy here. See you later.